Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and I'm here to tell you about the 3 books that I read in the first half of December. So first I'm going to talk about Dreams Underfoot by Charles DeLint, which I did as a buddy read with my friend Kelsey from the Fancy Hat Lady Reads and with Leah from the channel Leah Cooper. So this is a prequel collection of short stories that's a prequel to Charles DeLint's Newford series that I had only ever read one book by that I absolutely loved called Onion Girl, and I read it a good 10 years ago. Kelsey read it just recently, and Leah had never read any of Charles DeLint's books before, so seeing each of our reactions to each of the different stories were really interesting because it does follow many of the same characters that we see in Onion Girl and in Charles DeLint's other books and stuff. So there were some stories in here that were really, really like haunting and weird, and others that were a little bit just like depressing and disturbing and whatnot, but there were some that were really interesting. And honestly, one of them was literally a chapter of Onion Girl. Like literally it was straight out of Onion Girl, so I had read it already and I remembered it almost word for word. I was thinking like, wait, this is Onion Girl. And so I think that one was still my favorite, which is kind of odd, but I loved Onion Girl, so I guess it's not that weird. But yeah, definitely parts of this were more enjoyable than other ones, and it all just kind of depends because some of them have a lot, they're all really different from each other. Some of them are a lot more focused on reality, and others are more like Onion Girl, where they kind of take you into weird places and whatnot, so it's just crazy. But I don't know. I definitely think that I wouldn't have liked it as much if I had not already read Onion Girl. I think the fact that I was already familiar with this world and whatnot is part of why I liked this book, so I definitely would recommend not reading it as a prequel. I also read Technically You Started It by Lana Wood Johnson. This is a book told in text message format between these two people who are having a conversation, and basically one of them has the same name as his cousin, so the main character thinks that she's talking to one of them, but she's actually talking to the other one. So it's kind of just this whole weird misunderstanding thingamajig. But it goes over the course of like several months of them like talking over text and whatnot, but they don't really have like an in real life friendship, but they're like talking to each other in text, basically because initially they had each other's numbers for an assignment and whatnot. So this book, it's kind of one of those that I liked all right while I was reading it, but I didn't think I'd ever like think about it again. But I am going to leave a link down below to Kara's video from I completely forget the name of her channel at the moment, but she just did a review of this where she really didn't like this book, and I completely see what she means about every single thing in it. So one thing that I totally agreed on was that so much of the beginning of the book had specifically to do with this one US history assignment that these two characters are working on, basically, and the references are obscure enough that anyone who hasn't taken a class like that, meaning like anyone who's either been out of high school for a while, lives in another country, just hasn't taken that class yet, even if they're still in school, that type of thing, wouldn't get it. And like, for example, there's a reference in here to G. Gordon Liddy, and when I was a senior in high school, I was directing a play that happened to drop a reference to G. Gordon Liddy, and I had no idea what any of that meant. And I even asked my government teacher if she knew who he was, and she said, well, he's one of the guys from Watergate. And I said, well, okay, but what does that have to do with him burning, someone burning their hand on a candle? Like, I don't know what... that doesn't make any sense. And she said, sorry, I really don't know. And it wasn't until we were watching that like Watergate movie in class, the one with Robert Redford about Woodward and Bernstein and whatnot, where they actually say something about G. Gordon Liddy being tortured and having his hand held over a flame, and he didn't tell them anything. And if I hadn't been specifically looking for that because of a play I was directing where I had no idea what they were talking about, I still would have no idea to this day who that was, that sort of thing. So the references in this are like really obscure. So anyway, there was also some stuff in here about how the main character's parents are like old school nerds, and no one, So no one else uses words like noob and pwned and whatnot, because those are like old school nerd words. And I was thinking to myself, like, it was my generation that used those words, not people old enough to have a 17-year-old, I'm quite sure. So that was kind of weird to me. I was thinking, like, that's like 10 years ahead of where that should be. That's a little bit odd. I don't know. So I thought that there were a lot of things like that that kind of ruined the reality of the story for me, and also just some stuff about the character relationships that I found very difficult to buy, that Kara also points out in her video. So I think if you're interested in reading this book, or if you've read it and you kind of want to see some more thoughts on it and whatnot, or you kind of share the same sentiments, I definitely recommend checking out her video. And finally, I also read The Queen's Assassin by Melissa De La Cruz. This was sent to me by Penguin Teen, so thank you so much, Penguin Teen, for sending this my way. This is a book that I had really been looking forward to, but ultimately I didn't love it the way that I thought I would. I thought that the first half of it was just straight up really boring, and the second half of it was actually much better and had a lot more character banter. The magic system was really convenient, and I felt like the whole first half of the book, the main characters didn't really have the chemistry that we're kind of told that they do and whatnot. There was just a lot of like tell not show, but the second half did get so much better, so there is that. And then ultimately there was also this twist that I actually thought it was so obvious that I actually thought it had been established already. So at the end of the book, I thought, wait, were we not supposed to know that until now? And I still am not entirely sure if, because I actually knew from the first like sentence of this book, practically like the first page at least, I thought it was obvious, and I thought it was like something that we were actually supposed to already know. So when it was presented as such a twist, I was confused, and I'm actually not sure if it was given to us or if I'm just weird and I just thought it was too obvious or something like that. I don't know. So definitely if you've read this book, let me know what your thoughts are on that, because I'm really not sure what was going on there. But anyway, this book comes out in February, so if you are interested in reading it, pre-order is live now, and you should check it out. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the first half of December. So let me know what your favorite book is so far that you've read in December, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!